Okay guys, so hello and welcome back to another video. Now, if you do hear any difference in the sound quality or the mic or anything like that, I did post a image in my community tab. So if you want to go there and check it out, it's really funny because currently I am not at my usual place. Actually, I'm on the other side of the world from where my setup is at normally, but I did bring my microphone so I can still record videos just for you guys, even during my summer break. Honestly, I don't have I actually have a lot of better things to do than this, but it's fine. I like spending time in my room recording what ifs. And yeah, honestly, I'm gonna try to upload once every 2 days, maybe every other day probably. I'm gonna try to upload, which is an interesting goal because, as you guys know, I have kind of been not uploading for the last few days or so, but I couldn't upload for the last week because of reasons. But anyway, sorry for the entire rant I went on there, but I don't want to waste you guys' time too much. This is What If Naruto Was a God of Destruction, and let's get right into it. Okay, so before this what if completely, starts off, I just want to clarify some things first. First of all, Naruto is not a god of destruction. He just has the powers of one. So he is not actually in the Dragon Ball universe working as a god of destruction, watching over the universe and stuff. No, he just has the powers of a god of destruction, because I'm not going to literally make him a god of destruction. He's just gonna have the powers of a god of destruction. So yeah, basically he is a god of destruction, but he's not actually, if you know what I mean. But this story starts off on the day that Naruto was born, and to a certain extent, everything goes just as it does in the original, except for one key event. Now, Obito shows up like usual, trying to kidnap the baby Naruto, but gets absolutely destroyed by Minato, because after all, he is one of the strongest shinobi in the Naruto-verse. After that, Minato and Kushina continue to go on and try to fight the Ninetales, as the baby Naruto just sits there, not crying, which is weird for a baby because babies usually cry a lot, especially when they're born, because, they're babies. But Naruto just seemed different. He just didn't cry, and he seemed very attentive of his surroundings as he just surveyed the battle zone around him. And after that, he continued to watch as Minato and Kushina continued to fight the Ninetales until eventually the Ninetales went to attack Naruto. As the Ninetales' claw inched closer and closer to Naruto's face by the seconds, Kushina jumped in the way, protecting the baby Naruto from the way of the Ninetales' claw. In the meantime, Minato also instinctively threw a kunai and was able to get in the way of the Ninetales and its claw, and in between him and Naruto, as basically they were able to act as a human shield, saving Naruto's life, or so they thought. As Minato, in his last moments alive, was about to seal the Ninetales within Naruto using the Reaper Death Seal, Naruto, with the little power, the little muscle power that a baby had, lifted up his hand and pointed his finger at the Ninetales. As the Ninetales, looking at Naruto, was confused for a moment, but then bewildered the next, as suddenly his body started disintegrating in a purple aura, as Naruto's God of Destruction power was unleashed on the Ninetales for killing his parents. Well, basically, because Naruto had noticed what was going on, and taking note of everything that was going on, his baby mind was able to blame it on Kurama, as he didn't have any control over this power he had, so he just pointed his finger and directed all of it at the Ninetales, as the Ninetales started to completely disintegrate, and after a couple moments, the only thing left was a couple purple particles that disappeared after a couple seconds. Minato and Kushina were just shocked, speechless, as for a moment they forgot the fact that they were basically dying at this point with a hole inside of their body due to the Ninetales. And Naruto had basically saved the village by destroying the Ninetales, but at the same time, his position wasn't very great for the Leaf Village because they had just lost the Ninetales, one of their most powerful weapons. And you guys might be like, why didn't you let Minato seal Kurama within Naruto? It could have led to some very interesting plot points. And you are correct in that, but I just didn't want to deal with that, one. And second of all, Naruto really doesn't need Kurama, and I don't think having Kurama would add too much to the storyline. And I know that having him not inside of Naruto and, reincarnating or respawning, I guess, for Tailed Beast somewhere else would make the story a little bit more complicated, but it's fine. Anyways, we have a time skip all the way to the point where Naruto is finally ready for the academy. Within this time, Naruto was never actually hated, because Naruto never had the Ninetales inside of him, and nobody ever, quite hated him for that. Now, Danzo had spread rumors about Naruto having the Ninetales inside of him, because Danzo is Danzo, and I don't know, Danzo just decided to bully Naruto, because Danzo's just evil. But very few people had actually believed him this time. So although there were rumors that Naruto was the Ninetales Jinchuriki, very few people actually believed that was true. Sorry guys, might just have a bit of a sore throat. And because of that, Naruto wasn't hated by a lot of the kids. Although he wasn't very social and really didn't have a lot of friends and was unknown by most, at least he wasn't as hated by everyone as much as he was in the original. Of course, there was a fair share of people who would bully him on a day-to-day basis, still making it a terrible life for Naruto, but at least it wasn't as bad as in the original. So, on the first day of the academy, he was hopeful, as he entered the room and viewed an entire class full of students, who this time didn't start, whispering at each other and glaring at Naruto as they did in the original, but this time actually kind of welcoming him, well, most of them, as, they didn't scoot away when Naruto sat down near them. And Naruto's first day wasn't that bad. There were few kids, including Sakura actually, that did really dislike Naruto, but Naruto was completely okay with that, because a huge majority of the class was actually totally fine with him and actually really liked him, because Naruto was a pretty chill person, and it was clear that he was pretty powerful as well. So he was actually pretty popular. Oh god, guys, I'm so sorry about all of that, but, With that, Iruka decided that on the first day, it was pretty cool that maybe they would have a little bit of a sparring thing, because, it's the first day of school. You gotta have some fun on the first day of school, so they can do some sparring. And in the sparring matches, all the other people decide, when and sparred with each other until the only two remaining people were Naruto and Sasuke. Now, Naruto always knew he was strong, and he had also recognized that Sasuke seemed to give off a powerful, Naruto could sense that Sasuke was probably powerful. So when Naruto went up and tried to face Sasuke, he could tell that this might actually be a fun battle because Sasuke seemed to be the strongest in the class, and Naruto decided that he did want a challenge. Although Naruto did still see himself above everyone else, because he was like, yeah, I'm so powerful I could easily destroy everyone in this class. And he would be right, but he was pretty cocky, and a little bit self-centered, being not really, but he was kind of just yeah, I'm better than everyone here. He had that sort of mindset, this superiority thing going on, which Sasuke definitely didn't like about him, because Sasuke had the exact same thing where he was incredibly competitive and serious about being the best in the class at, everything. So Naruto and Sasuke went up to spar against each other, and the instant the match started, Sasuke ran instantly in at Naruto, trying to punch him and kick him and just constantly barraging him with taijutsu attacks, with Naruto dodging with ease. Honestly, it wasn't even close, because the more Sasuke kept using his full speed attacks at Naruto, the more it became clear that Naruto was just completely on another league. As Sasuke leaped back, panting, he said, "Damn it, Naruto, I'll show you how much stronger I am." As he started weaving hand signs and said, "Fireball Jutsu," as a huge fireball came out of his mouth and flew straight at Naruto's direction. And Naruto just stood there, as the fire just enveloped him, and he continued to stand, with the students staring in shock, assuming that, Naruto was heavily burned and injured at the minimum, and he would probably have to go to the hospital after this. But as the smoke cleared, Naruto just walked out of the smoke, not a single scratch on him, as he went up to a completely now frozen from shock Sasuke and tapped him on the forehead, as just from that, Sasuke fell to the ground, as Naruto reminded him of as Itachi, someone far above him that he just couldn't beat. As in that moment, a comparison was in Sasuke's mind, comparing Naruto to Itachi and thinking of Naruto from now on as a rival, an obstacle, a person he has to beat before he can even come close to beating Itachi. As Naruto became a second Itachi for Sasuke in that very moment, and Naruto realized that something happened as Sasuke just got up and shook Naruto's hand, saying, "Good fight," as he turned away and walked off into the distance. Now, Naruto was confused at why Sasuke was so mad after this fight, but realized that, since Sasuke was "Oh, I'm the best, I have to be the best at everything," Naruto was just yeah, no, I get it. He's just mad that he lost, which he would be technically correct about. But anyway, after that, Naruto just went home and decided to get some rest. Anyways, this is how the rest of Naruto's year in the academy went on, just constantly excelling at everything and mostly just spending his time showing off his power, sometimes sleeping in class, being lazy, because, he already knew everything he needed to and was basically already at a way higher level than all the academy students there. And even Iruka himself basically knew that Naruto was probably at least low Chunin level, probably, because he didn't know for sure. He'd never seen Naruto's full power, but after all this time he had spent with Naruto, he could tell that Naruto was extremely powerful. Maybe he didn't have the experience of a Jonin, but he could just overwhelm a lot of people that Iruka knew with his sheer power. And he knew that Naruto was definitely stronger than him. Just the incredible aura that came off of him and the chakra he seemed to possess, it was just incredibly strong. And his destructive capabilities, get what I did there, were really, really strong. Stronger than anything Iruka had seen before. Because, well, he is a god of destruction. But, yeah. With that, he would pass the graduation exam with no trouble whatsoever, because remember, Naruto doesn't have the Nine Tails hindering with his performance in any way, because, well, Naruto kind of just KO'd the Nine Tails. Not like he just disintegrated him, just pointing a finger at the Nine Tails and the Nine Tails is gone, just easy. And yeah, because of that, Naruto is, well, really good in class with jutsu and stuff, and he doesn't really need to be, but he's good enough, like, way more than good enough to be able to pass. With that, they met up with their Jonin sensei, and in this case, Kakashi being like 2 hours late, but you know, he did arrive eventually, and they had their whole introduction thing where Kakashi told them to introduce themselves, and all of them introduced themselves, and everything was the exact same except for Sasuke, who said that he wanted to kill a certain someone being Itachi, and he also wanted to surpass another certain someone, and this being Naruto, because as I said, Sasuke has now made it his goal to defeat Naruto as well at all costs, which he won't do, spoiler alert. Well, that's too late, but you guys already knew that. Somebody in the Narutoverse cannot beat a god of destruction. It's just common knowledge, honestly. But either way, Kakashi told them to meet him at the training grounds the next day, and so they did. The next day, once again, Kakashi was extremely late, but he, as I said again, he did eventually arrive and explain the rules of the bell test, which I won't explain because if you're watching this video, you probably know how the bell test works. Anyways, everyone decided to go hide in the bushes. Everyone except for Naruto. Now, Kakashi had heard good things about Naruto, but he really didn't think that Naruto was good enough to beat him head-on in a fight. And he would be heavily mistaken. And I don't blame him for assuming that a Genin can't defeat him, even if it was a talented Genin, because, well, Sasuke was a talented Genin, and Sasuke stood no chance against Kakashi in a fight, as you guys probably remember. But this certain Genin is a bit more special than what Kakashi would be expecting, because Kakashi would just be like, oh, so you're a cocky one, aren't you? As Naruto's like, well, you could say that, as he runs in at Kakashi, holding back, of course, as they start having a heated taijutsu battle, but Kakashi immediately starts overpowering him and gets him caught in a trap, with Naruto obviously letting this happen. And Kakashi immediately after that lets his guard down, says, got you, as Naruto says, really? And a purple light just emits off of Naruto as like an explosion just comes off of him, sending Kakashi flying away at high speeds as this breaks Naruto free out of the trap, and he just jumps off of the ground at incredible speeds, zooming at Kakashi, and Kakashi sees this and he tries to hit Naruto in the air, just ignores the confusion from what that attack was in the first place. Like, Naruto weaved no hand signs. That was just crazy. But Kakashi just tries to dodge, and he's unsuccessful because Naruto is going at such incredible speeds that he just dashes straight in at Kakashi, snatching both of the bells before Kakashi can even react. As Kakashi falls to the ground and winces in pain, he says, How did you do that? As Naruto says, I don't know, I just shot out some chakra and then got the bells. It wasn't that hard. And Kakashi knows there's more to it than that, but at the moment he can't focus on that, and decides that since Naruto technically got the bells, and technically that means he passed according to the rules he made, he made the rules, so I guess he has to let them pass. And he explains the true meaning of this test, but I guess if you guys did actually get the bells, I do kind of have to let you pass, because those were my rules, and by the rules, you won. So, Team 7 becomes an official team, as after that, they start doing a bunch of low-level missions, such as walking cats, getting groceries for villagers, helping people cross the road, the F rank missions, if that's even a thing, like the lowest of the low rank missions that new Genins do. And Kakashi has told Hiruzen about Naruto's incredible power, so after Naruto asks for a harder mission, and Kakashi knows they have both Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke on the team, Hiruzen decides that there's really no harm in giving them a C-rank mission, this being the mission to escort Tazuna to the Land of Waves. And Tazuna walks out all drunk and starts being like, oh, you think these kids are supposed to escort me? Do you know who he does his entire drunk talk, trash talking the entire Team 7, and he keeps going on being like, oh, and that girl with the pink hair, she's completely useless, as suddenly he stops talking, as an incredibly powerful aura and bloodlust just starts emitting from Naruto that scares even Kakashi and Hiruzen. Just an immense concentration of chakra and power ooze out of his body as Tazuna immediately shuts up and is like, I'm sorry, maybe I misjudged you, as everyone in the room, stunned, just watches Naruto as he says, okay, next time try not being so rude, as he turns away and walks off, with Hiruzen and Kakashi just staring at him as he walks away, being like, what on earth was that? But for now, that doesn't really matter, because the next day, they all meet up by the gate with Tazuna, who apologizes for, doing what he did last night, because he was pretty drunk, as you probably already knew. And now that he's sober, he apologizes, and he's like, yeah, my bad, I shouldn't have done that. And Naruto's like, yeah, it's fine, no problem, it's not a big deal anyway. And with that, they head off on their journey to the Land of the Waves. So, it doesn't take long before eventually they come across a puddle. And Naruto, not being very smart, doesn't notice anything off about the puddle. What he does notice, though, is a chakra presence coming from the puddle. This belonging, of course, to the Demon Brothers. Now, Naruto, not being very smart, actually still believes that it's a real puddle, a really deep one, because he does notice there are two people hiding inside the puddle or under the ground or somewhere, because Naruto has incredible chakra sensing abilities, but he just isn't that smart. And Naruto senses this chakra coming from around the puddle, and Kakashi, who was originally planning on, doing the thing where he pretends to die and then comes back and whatever, Naruto just decides to take on a more direct approach, as he points up holds his finger up as a purple orb, just a big, like a small orb, starts appearing around the point of his finger, as it slowly starts to grow and grow and grow around to the size of an apple. And when the purple orb has reached around the size of an apple, Naruto just flicks his hand as the orb goes flying at the puddle and explodes, literally creating a huge crater, as if like an actual bomb hit the area, as he accidentally also ends up hitting Sakura, Sasuke, and Tazuna, not Kakashi, because he was able to react fast enough, and he was also able to grab Tazuna in time, and Sasuke was able to get away from the impact, start running just a little bit early, so he didn't get hit as much. But Sakura got slightly injured. Either way, the demon brothers die. They are gone, down to the atom. They have been completely destroyed by Naruto's explosion, because do not get me wrong, the thing he shot at them was tiny, but the explosion he made was huge, and it left a giant crater in the ground. As Naruto said, "Oops, hey guys, sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just guess I put a little bit too much power into that one." As dumbfounded, the entire Team 7 just stares at him. So they're like, yeah, try to be a little bit more careful next time. As with the help of Kakashi and Sasuke, Sakura is able to get back up on her feet, and limping, they continue on off on their journey. As Kakashi says, listen, not only should you definitely be more careful about not hurting your teammates, but you completely destroyed those guys. Next time, maybe try keeping them so we can question them about their motives, or that sort of stuff. Naruto's like, yeah, I guess you're right, but honestly, that just sounds boring. I'd rather just kill them and be over with it. Not it's gonna matter anyway. As Kakashi's like, with that power, you do kind of have a point. He thinks this in his head. And he's just thinking that, as suddenly a huge fog rolls in. You guys know the deal. You guys already know it's Zabuza. And this huge mist completely starts covering the area, with Tazuna explaining that, it's pretty normal around here. It's the Hidden Mist Village. Where else are you gonna find mist than in the Hidden Mist Village? So it makes sense. But Kakashi notices that there's definitely something off, and Naruto noticed something even better, a chakra signature, as he recognizes not only Zabuza, but also a hint of Haku's chakra. And Naruto, seeing this, says, be careful, there are two people nearby, as he just puts his hand in front of Team 7 and Tazuna, just telling them to stay back, as suddenly he just disappears from their vision. And then he reappears, holding Zabuza in his hands, as he drops Zabuza, who is now heavily injured and coughing on the floor. Now, of course, this is kind of crazy. Naruto literally just brought Zabuza here, and now he's pretty injured, right? But Zabuza isn't dead, don't worry. As Zabuza's like, so, do I kill him, or, do I keep him so we can interrogate him later, like you told us earlier? And Kakashi is just, amazed at how Naruto took out Zabuza Momochi, the Demon of the Mist, in such little time. And also, sorry guys, if you hear any background noise or a lot of weird echoing, that's just because I'm kind of if you guys saw the community post, you know what the place I'm recording looks like. It is definitely not the best place to record, not for sound, not for anything really, but it's fine. It's not fine. I'm just recording with a mic and a laptop in a bedroom. But sorry, back to the video. Either way, while they're discussing this, Haku comes at them at full speed, and more specifically at Naruto. And to this, Naruto immediately replies with a swift dodge, moving out of the way and letting Haku go flying at the trees. Haku, on the other hand, not being pretty foolish and unexperienced, is able to, understand what's happening in time and quickly turn around to bounce back off the tree as he goes in for another blow at Naruto, this time at double the speed. Once again, Naruto just dodges, actually very easily, and this starts to anger Haku as he says, he's just like, listen, you're not gonna get away with what you did. As Naruto's like, what, hurting that guy over there? And Haku's just like, that's no ordinary person. That guy is Zabuza, my master. As Haku starts talking dramatically about it, his backstory and his stuff, but Naruto does not want to hear any of it, as he's just like, okay, so are you gonna fight me or what? Like, how is this gonna go? And Haku's just getting mad at this point and contemplating just taking Zabuza and running away. But Naruto goes in for a blow, with Haku barely being able to dodge, as he realizes just running away won't be a good solution. So, with that, Haku immediately creates the ice mirrors around Naruto as he attempts to defeat him that way. And while this is happening, Kakashi just takes Zabuza's body, knocks him out, puts him in a seal or like a scroll, I don't know, he just takes Zabuza, and meanwhile Haku's just too concentrated trying to beat Naruto, so doesn't even notice. Anyway, back to what was going on in the battle. Haku starts throwing senbon at Naruto from all directions, with Naruto still being able to dodge them with little to no trouble, as everyone is just watching from outside of the mirrors, amazed as Naruto, the one-man army, just takes on a bunch of these fighters with ease. And Kakashi's just amazed at the speeds at which Naruto is dodging all of these senbon. I mean, he would have difficulty doing so without his Sharingan. So he's actually pretty impressed, especially because this is, well, a genin we're talking about. Although he does know that Naruto is a lot above genin level. Either way, Naruto keeps dodging these kunai over and over and over until a bored expression just starts to appear on his face. He's like, well, what else do you have? Come on, you have to be able to do more than this. As Haku's like, what does this kid mean? This is like my most powerful attack. As he's just like, you want more? I'll give you more. As suddenly Haku ramps up his speed, going way faster than what he was going at before, barraging Naruto with hordes of just senbon being flung at him from every direction, every angle. But Naruto still continues to dodge every last one of them, as finally he's had enough. And with one swift motion of his hand, he's able to destroy all the ice mirrors, as an explosion just happens, as a huge burst of his chakra goes all over the place, basically causing an explosion, as I already said. I don't want to say that again, but either way, just decimating all of the mirrors, and in turn, Haku, as Haku is flung out the mirrors and slammed into a nearby tree, being slumped over unconscious at the near the stump of the tree, where he's found by Kakashi. Naruto says, well, those were some easy opponents. Didn't have much to offer in terms of combat, or, it wasn't really challenging. As Kakashi just thinks to himself about how powerful those shinobi really were, and how he could tell that those people were actually extremely strong, but Naruto showed no signs of trouble taking care of them. And so, well, he was impressed to say the least, like, definitely. But either way, with that, Team 7 went over to Tasuna's house and had captured both Haku and Zabuza. So after completing the bridge with no trouble at all, except for Gato and his men arriving, which I don't really call trouble, because taking care of them was a piece of cake. It was just like they showed up. Naruto didn't even have to do a thing because Team 7 just took care of them. Well, he is part of Team 7, but like even Sakura could have taken care of them. Maybe. Actually, I don't know about Sakura, but like anybody else on Team 7 could have taken care of the Gato's mercenary by themselves. So the mercenaries fled, Gato got captured, so on and so forth. The bridge was built and named the Great Naruto Bridge. And with a successful C rank mission under their belts, Team 7 headed back to the Leaf Village. Back at the Leaf Village, they were greeted by Hiruzen, of course, and explained all the details of the mission, how they faced against Haku and Zabuza. Kakashi went more in depth about how Naruto was able to just destroy Haku and Zabuza with seeming ease, even though they were at least Jonin level and possibly high Jonin level, especially Haku. I mean, I don't know if Haku's stronger than Zabuza or not. Honestly, maybe. But overall, it should have been an incredibly tough fight, but seeing as he was able to basically beat Zabuza in like half a second, you know, Hiruzen was impressed as well. But anyway, after that, they all went outside, and Kakashi told them that the Chunin exams were coming up. Now, of course, everyone in Team 7 agreed to participating in the Chunin exams. After all, they had no reason not to, and they were pretty hyped about becoming Chunin. Everyone except for Naruto, because even though he was excited about it, honestly, it just felt really easy to him. Meanwhile, Sasuke was extremely, really wanted to do this, because to him, this was his, one chance, this half a year, I guess, because the Chunin exams happen every, 6 months. So this was his chance. This was his chance to prove to Naruto that he was stronger than him. And although deep down he knew that Naruto was way out of his league, but Sasuke, being the stubborn kid he is, it was just like, yeah, I'll show Naruto. This time I'll show him how powerful I am. He'll see I'm better than him. That's just what he's thinking to himself in his head as he walks off to his house to train or whatever Sasuke does in his free time. I really don't know. Well, I guess I'm the narrator of this story, so I can just say he goes and trains. Yeah, that's what I'll say he does. But yeah, Naruto doesn't really feel like training. After all, his personality, honestly, has become something actually quite similar to Beerus. Not really. He's not the same as Beerus, but he's kind of halfway between Beerus and Naruto in a way that he's actually kind of lazy. And he's like, yeah, I'm way better than these guys anyway, so I really don't need to train for this, It's pretty simple, right? And that's kind of what he's thinking in his head, as he decides to sleep a lot and buy himself a very comfortable bed, using all the money he got from the mission to just sleep and rest for the entire week leading up to the Chunin exams until, wouldn't you know it, it's time for the Chunin exams. Okay, so on the day of the Chunin exams, this is pretty self-explanatory, but guess what? You won't believe it. Team 7 headed to the place of the Chunin exams. Yeah, surprising, I know, right? Well, anyway. Upon arrival, Sakura and Sasuke immediately noticed the genjutsu put up by the Chunins, with Naruto just straight up ignoring it. And Sasuke goes and tells the Chunins, doing the genjutsu to put it down. And remember, these Chunins are disguised as genins, so they're pretending to be like genins, trying to mess with the other genins to make them think it's down there, but it's actually not. But it's actually just a test. It's like reverse psychology. Is it? No, it's not. Sorry, my mind is just kind of boggled with whatever they were doing. Either way, Naruto just tells Sasuke to ignore them and come upstairs. Sorry guys, if you did hear like a cut there, that was my bad. I just had to cut it and now I'm back. Anyway, I had to go do something. Yeah, so they went upstairs and up there they were greeted by Rock Lee, who once again challenged Sasuke and Naruto to a battle, with Naruto once again declining and telling Rock Lee that if he was truly worthy of fighting him, then he would probably survive long enough to get to the final part of the exam where they're all going to have to fight against each other anyway. And Rock Lee, seeing this as a pretty logical answer, decides to, well, leave them alone. Now, after this, Team 7 heads off to the first part of the Chunin exams. This, of course, being the written part. Now, the instant they enter, Ibiki comes in and explains how the first part is going to be a written exam and they're going to get a test, and how, they have to get at least one question right out of the 10 questions there. Naruto, after getting the test, instantly realizes that he does not have any clue for what any of these answers are. And after 10 minutes of thinking, just completely searching every last part of his brain for any of the answers to any of these questions, he gives up. And one of the people, well, actually all, because remember there were a bunch of like Chunin and Jonin on the sides checking to see if anybody was cheating, and they just were looking around to look for people who were cheating, and they just saw Naruto, who had fallen asleep and was just sleeping on his desk. And technically it wasn't against the rules, and so they just had to let him be. And when Ibiki announced that actually the first 9 questions were completely useless and you didn't actually have to answer them, like it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, this 10th question is actually going to be what determines it all. He was like, I don't want to let Naruto pass because he literally just slept through the entire thing, but technically it's not against the rules, so I kind of got to give it to him. He did actually just sleep through my entire thing and still pass. And of course, Naruto decides to try his hand at the 10th question, with him then not failing, actually, sorry. He decides to attempt the 10th question, with Ibiki then explaining that the 10th question was just a tactical deception to see, if they were actually, had the correct mindset to become a Chunin, whatever, his whole explanation behind the 10th question, which means even if you had 0 brain power and had 1 IQ and couldn't find the answers to any of the previous questions, out of the 10 questions they gave, if you found none of the answers, you can still pass, which makes very little sense, but I get what Ibiki's doing, okay? It's just, it has its flaws, because a kid can literally just sleep through the entire thing and pass, but yeah. Moving on, Anko smashes straight through the window. Anko smashes the window. Okay, anyway, Anko crashes straight through the window, and lands in the classroom, test room? I don't know what you'll call it, but it basically looks like a classroom, so that's why I'll just call it a test room. And is like, okay, time for the second part of the Chunin exams. Everyone, onto the Forest of Death. As Ibiki just shakes his head and he's like, Anko, there's a door for a reason. But Anko is not hearing any of it, as she completely ignores Ibiki, and everyone ends up going to the Forest of Death. Now, over there, Anko explains the rules of the second part, and explains how you have to sign this scroll that says, it's fine if you die. You're basically signing away your life, but it's fine. It's not like Naruto's gonna die anyway. So they head off to the Forest of Death, where well, one of the gates actually, where they just wait for Anko to tell them to start. Which doesn't take too long, because after all the teams have made it to their own gates, Anko immediately says, "Come on, start!" Just yelling that, and I don't want to talk too loud because there are other people near my room, and also these walls are very echoey, so, but yeah, you can imagine what I'm trying to, say, right? Anko, screamed it, but I don't want to scream it in this current environment I'm in right now, because I'm not at my usual place for recording. Never mind, you guys didn't need to hear that. Back to the what if. So they all just went in, and Naruto, as you guys already know, is incredible at sensing chakra, and he is also as fast as a god of destruction. Maybe not, well, yeah, technically by my own rules, he is as fast as a god of destruction. Maybe some minor buffs to make this what if even slightly more balanced, but really it's not going to do anything, because Naruto in the first 0.5 seconds just seemingly teleports, gets a scroll from another team, and comes back with the scroll. As teams Sasuke and Sakura just stare at Naruto, they're like, how on earth did you just get that scroll? Naruto says, I took it from one of the other teams. As they just blankly stare at him as they're like, you're serious? And Naruto just says, yeah. Oh, dang it, this was one of the wrong scrolls. It's the same as ours. I guess I'll just have to take another one. As he tries again, immediately going straight to one of the teams, taking their scrolls and coming back in less than half a second. As Sakura and Sasuke are now wide-eyed, staring at Naruto, being like, how on earth did you just do that? Did you, teleport? And Naruto's like, no, I'm just kind of fast. Yeah, I'm just kind of fast, As they're just like, okay, well, did you get the right scroll this time? As Naruto lifts his hand up and looks at the scroll, and he's like, dang it, I got the same scrolls as ours again. Now I have 3 of the same scroll. And then he just teleports again, steals another scroll, comes back, and this time they actually have the right scroll. But little does Naruto know, the person who he stole the scroll from was actually Orochimaru. Well, in disguise, of course. But Orochimaru noticed this blur that passed right by him, stealing his scroll. And although Orochimaru does have a high reaction time, he wasn't able to, block Naruto exactly. But as Naruto turns around and says, okay, well, let's head to the finish line, Sasuke notices a cut on his back, and he says, Naruto, are you alright? As Naruto says, yeah, why? And Naruto says, you have a cut on your back. And he just looks around, he looks at his back, and he's like, when did that get there? And then he just thinks back as he says, wait, that guy must have done this. Wow, he must have a high reflex time, because I went by him pretty fast. Interesting. As the wound literally heals in front of Sasuke's eyes, as he's just like, how did you just heal that? And Naruto says, yeah, I just naturally heal pretty quickly. And at this point, Sasuke accepts this, knowing that Naruto just is super OP and there's nothing he can do about it. And at this point, he's contemplating whether Naruto is stronger than Itachi or not. And you guys already know that he's way stronger than Itachi, but Sasuke is just he's the type of person who's so stubborn he could see literal God and be like, well, not literally God, but he could see God disguised as Naruto, right? Literal God, God of the Naruto-verse. And he'll be disguised as Naruto, and then Naruto, supposed Naruto would act really strong, and Sasuke would still be like, no, Naruto is not stronger than Itachi, just be in denial. You guys know Sasuke, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe literally not if he was God, but Anyway, Orochimaru notices that this person must have been extremely fast, faster than Minato, because he has never witnessed such speed before. He must be some Hokage level, not just Kage level shinobi who did this, because he knows for a fact that like, somebody can't just go by him at that speed, especially if they're a Genin. Which he would be wrong, but you know. Anyway, Naruto basically does this really fast thing, just like grabs onto Sasuke and Sakura and runs to the finish line in like a second, absolutely shattering the record for the second part of the Chunin exams, setting a record of 1 minute and 11 seconds. As the guards at the finish line were absolutely stunned. Like Anko, who was heading to the finish line when she said go, like literally ran straight toward the finish line, like ever since the entire like event started, because you know she was outside the forest of death and now she's heading to the finish line, you know, just to be prepared. And even she hadn't made it yet before these Genin were able to get 4 scrolls and also make it, like, which completely blew her mind. But she was just like, well, this is a very talented bunch of Genin we have here, and I heavily doubt this record will ever be broken again. And she even contemplated to, you know, ban them from the event from cheating, but having no strong evidence, she couldn't do so. Either way, with that, Naruto passed the second part of the Chunin exams. And after waiting for like 2 days, I think that's how long it lasts, waiting for everyone to finally arrive, the proctor person or whatever announced that they were going to be having preliminaries because too many people passed. And hearing this, Naruto really wasn't complaining. Honestly, just more fighting. Not really that fun because they're not going to be his level, but, you know, he doesn't mind. But, the fight against Kiba. Honestly, I don't even feel like going over it. But here, I'll give you a recap. Kiba walks on the stage, basically scared because he knows Naruto is going to be OP and that he's going to get absolutely destroyed, but still going to try his best. So immediately he comes at Naruto with a fang over fang, you know, strongest, like he puts all of his chakra, all of his energy, all of his training, all of it into one fang over fang to defeat Naruto. And Naruto just flicks his wrist, just slaps the fang over fang, and Kiba is knocked out, honestly. Like, if I'm being realistic, right? Like, imagine Kiba, Genin level, versus Beerus. Like, there's no way. And Naruto is basically as strong as Beerus, so, you know, that's basically what would happen. Either way, that's the end of the, preliminary rounds. Anyway, over this 1 month training period that they get in between the preliminaries and the final stage, Naruto does not meet Jiraiya, honestly. The reason is because Naruto literally spends this entire time just sleeping. Because if I'm gonna be honest, Naruto is a lot like Beerus, as I've said before, and in this what if, Naruto just likes to sleep a lot. After, you know, he decided to do a couple missions, you know, ask Hiruzen for a couple missions, did the missions, got himself an even comfier bed, and just slept. Honestly, you know what they say. You need a lot of sleep to be well energized and stuff. You know, getting a lot of sleep is healthy, especially in Naruto's age. He's like, 13 at this point? 14 maybe? You know, he needs a lot of sleep at that age. So I guess, good job, Naruto? I don't know. Is sleeping really good way of training? I mean, I guess if you're a god of destruction, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, that's really all I can say. Anyway, this is when we move on to the final part of the Chunin exams. And if you guys are wondering about what happened to Orochimaru, then don't worry, because he found an interesting way to defeat Naruto. Because after doing some research, he decided he would need some allies to get rid of Naruto. But these allies wouldn't be so easily convinced to, well, take Naruto on. So he had to make up a very believable story and also, make a sort of deal with them to, get their help. Because remember, when I said in the beginning of the what if that Naruto killed Kurama at, when he was a newborn, just like a couple minutes old. Yeah. Well, you guys probably would destroy me in the comments if Kurama just happened to die, and I said, yeah, Kurama's permanently gone, and just leave him out of the plot. Cause, tailed beasts, when they die, come back, like, somehow, somewhere. That's just not how it works. And so, somebody must have noticed a huge 9-tailed chakra beast roaming around. It's not that people aren't just gonna let it roam around, like, it's pretty noticeable, honestly. So, in this storyline, in this what if, the person who noticed the tailed beast and was also the one to get it back was in fact Orochimaru himself. Because you see, around this time in the story, Hiruzen had sent out a bunch of Anbu members and just a bunch of Jonin in general to go search for the Nine Tails. And Orochimaru, having his inside information on the Leaf Village, knew that the Nine Tails had been killed. So he set out on a search as well. Now, the Akatsuki were aware that the Nine Tails was, like, somewhere on the loose, because, Tobi or Obito was the person who did bring the Nine Tails to the Leaf Village, but Orochimaru was the person to find the Nine Tails. And so, now he has some valuable trading resources, I guess you could call the Nine Tails, to get himself some allies. If that doesn't spoil it, well, you'll just have to watch and see what it does. Either way, sorry for wasting your guys' time, but now you know. Naruto heads off the final part of the Chunin exams, as the first match he realizes is between him and Neji. Now, the instant he steps on the stage to go fight Neji, you guys already know what happens. Neji immediately goes into his rant about destiny and how he's destined to win this, even though, there's nothing he can do. Neji will win this no matter what. He just does that entire speech, and Naruto isn't even listening. And, Neji just finishes his speech, and he's like, do you understand? And he realizes that Naruto was not even listening. He was playing with, the grass, right? And he's just, so mad, and he feels like, because Naruto just disrespected him right there. He's just literally, Neji has been talking for 5 minutes, right? And Naruto didn't listen to a single word of it. As the proctor just says, start. And Neji runs straight at Naruto in blind rage, just being like, oh, if you think you can just beat me like that, you are very mistaken, Naruto. As he runs at him and says, and before he can finish, Naruto literally just holds up one arm, he's still playing with the grass, or he's pulling out the grass, something like that, I don't know, but he doesn't even look at Neji, just points up one arm, shoots a huge ball of chakra at him, just a huge beam of chakra at Neji out of his fingertip. And Neji gets slammed into the wall on the other side, being, knocked out. Anyway, after that, Naruto is declared the winner, and all of the other matches go just the same as in the original, all the way until Sasuke's, where that also goes the same, with Gaara eventually going into his impenetrable defense dome sand thing, and Sasuke realizing that he has to use the Chidori. So he backs up, climbing the wall, and runs down it to gain momentum with Chidori in hand and stabs it into Gaara's defense, getting the blade into Gaara's shoulder. This is when Gaara starts to transform and the Konoha crush commences. Because you see, this time, it's not only the Sand Village that's attacking. No, there's a lot more, as the Akatsuki appear at the gate along with the Sand Village, literally just storming the Leaf Village. Now, Orochimaru isn't disguised as the Kazekage this time. Well, actually he is, but his target is not Hiruzen, but this time is rather Naruto. As Hiruzen, seeing everything going on, decides to go down and track down Orochimaru, trying to stop him. But Naruto, seeing himself being chased by Orochimaru, starts to run, and not running away from Orochimaru, but instead running towards the gates of the village, seeing all the commotion coming from that general area. Now, everyone is fighting, right? Like, Kakashi and Guy are taking out some of the sand ninja, Sasuke is trying to take care of Gaara, a bunch of other Leaf and Jonin and Anbu are trying to hold down, the walls that are being, completely stormed by everywhere. But Naruto sees a huge hole in the wall, and a huge crater. And inside of it, he sees the Akatsuki in their black robes with red clouds on it. Now, Naruto, seeing this, immediately targets them, knowing that they are probably a lot stronger and they're probably bigger targets, right? As the instant Naruto spots the Akatsuki spot Naruto, and he runs at the Akatsuki, and the Akatsuki runs at him, basically cornering him, because almost gathering around him in a circle, and Orochimaru leaping from behind and completing the circle, with Naruto being an Akatsuki member being on Naruto's every side. Because think about it, all of the Akatsuki are here, and Orochimaru. And if you guys are wondering why the Akatsuki are helping Orochimaru, it's because Orochimaru offered them the Nine Tails in exchange for their help trying to kill this child by the name Naruto. And the Akatsuki, not knowing anything about Naruto, obviously accepted the mission and were yeah, just kill one Genin for the price of one of the tailed beasts. Easy. So even Obito was there, all of the Akatsuki members. And Naruto, realizing that he was heavily outnumbered, said, "Dang it, can't fight you guys all at once." As he just thinks for a moment, and immediately jumps high into the air, doing a front flip and landing outside of the circle and starting to run. Not quite so fast that the Akatsuki can't keep up with him, but not so slow that the Akatsuki will just catch up to him. So he is going at an extremely high speed, with the rest of the Akatsuki just barely being able to keep up with him and following him as he leaves out the gates. And Hiruzen, who was trying to follow Naruto because he was following Orochimaru, sees this and he's like, yo, okay, I'll just leave Naruto to that because he's pretty powerful, right? And he says, well, I do see a more urgent thing. And he looks over at Gaara, who has now basically transformed into the One Tails, and he sees Sasuke and Sakura trying to fight the One Tails, realizing that they are no match for Gaara's One Tail state, and he decides to go help them out, taking care of the One Tails. Meanwhile, Naruto is still busy running as far away from the Leaf Village as possible. And he keeps going, running until he's basically outside of the Leaf Village. Some of the Akatsuki members start to get tired, and Naruto, noticing this, just turns around and he says, getting tired already, are we? Well, I thought you'd be at least a little bit stronger. And the Akatsuki, well, a lot of the members take this personally, as they're like, we'll see about that. As basically now, Naruto has them all exactly where he wants them to be, right in front of him, gathered in a bunch. As Naruto says, well, unfortunately, this is where it all ends for you. As he says, Hakai. Now, he doesn't use actual Hakai. That would be way too powerful. But, he uses a slightly nerfed version of it that is strong enough to take out all the Akatsuki in one blow while not dealing some crazy damage to, everything in, a huge radius, right? Because, Naruto using such an attack in the Naruto verse it's gonna do some damage to, people, some innocent people, that he didn't intend to hit with the attack, because, it's that powerful. So he kind of uses a sort of weakened version, but don't get me wrong, it's still incredibly powerful, and is more than enough to literally take out all of the Akatsuki in one blow. And you guys might be like, whoa, the Akatsuki are dead, just like that? And is it very interesting and climactic and, suspenseful? No. Is it realistic, and do I think this is what would happen if Naruto was actually a god of destruction? Yes, because being a god of destruction is OP. Well, yeah. Meanwhile, Hiruzen manages to take care of the One-Tails, and then manages to come back in time to help, defend against the Sand Village forces with the help of Naruto, who has also returned, basically easily defending the village with little to no, general harm to all the houses and villagers there. And with that, that's the end of the What If. Now, you guys might be like, what about Naruto Shippuden? Well, there's no Naruto Shippuden because all of the Akatsuki are gone. And, yeah, after that, in the far, far future, Naruto obviously becomes Hokage, becomes the strongest shinobi to have ever lived, and when Ishiki comes, honestly, Ishiki gets clapped, bro. Ishiki does not stand a chance. He does not stand a chance. And Naruto uses one attack, Ishiki is dead, goodbye, never to be seen again, rest in peace. Sorry, I got carried away there, but yeah, Naruto's just too OP. I mean, really, if we're talking realistic, a god is not the sort of thing that would be balanced in the Naruto verse. It's just how it is. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe. And with that, I'll see you guys all next time.